guys, my name is Michelle and welcome to The Weight of Things. On this channel, we talk about all things concerning renewing our minds, rejuvenating our health, and restoring our femininity. On this channel today, what we are going to be talking about is intermittent fasting. Now, I told you in my welcome video, if you haven't watched that, by the way, make sure you check it out. And before I go any further, make sure that you subscribe if you haven't and click the bell below so you can be notified of every time I create new videos. I will be recording some workout with me videos, also some smoothie recipes and some healthy food recipes as well. So make sure that you click the bell so that you won't have to miss out on any of those videos. So again, in this video, what I'm going to be talking about is intermittent fasting and my experience with it. Now, firstly, there are a few different versions of intermittent fasting. The ones that I tried was 16-8. And basically what that means is that you are fasting for 16 hours and you have an 8-hour eating window. And you can choose those hours how they apply to your life. One of the easiest ways is that the 16 hours can be when you're sleeping. And so you could potentially break your fast at about 10 o'clock and that would give you till about 6 p.m. to eat. Or you can make it a little bit later, maybe break your fast at 12 and then, have until 8 p.m. to eat. So the thing that I did like about intermittent fasting is that you can adjust it according to your schedule. You didn't have to miss out on certain meals if it didn't work for you. And so that was definitely one of the benefits that I found with intermittent fasting. One of the other versions of intermittent fasting is the 4-hour eating window. So basically you're fasting for 20 hours and you have a 4-hour eating window. Again, with this one, you can do your eating window at any time you want during the day. However, it works best if you're consistent with it every single day so that you are actually fasting for the full 20 hours. Now, my experience with intermittent fasting is that, as I mentioned, I started off with the 16-8 and I didn't really see much results. And so I decided to switch to the 24 as in 4-hour eating window version to see if that would kind of speed up the results process. However, again, I didn't really see the results that I was kind of hoping for. As I've mentioned previously, we kind of live in a microwave society and that includes myself. And so I guess I was kind of looking for instantaneous results and I didn't really find that to be happening. And so I didn't really like it. The other thing that I didn't really like with it is that with whatever window I was doing, because I wanted to be able to eat dinner with my husband and my children, I wanted to make sure that dinner time was in my eating period. So a lot of times that would leave out breakfast, and a lot of times on weekends, my husband and I and the kids, we like to go for breakfast. And so I felt like having to commit to not having breakfast every single day was not going to be something that I was going to find fun. The other thing that's important to note about intermittent fasting, and I touched a little bit about this in my OMED diet video, is that with intermittent fasting, it's not like OMED where, especially if you have an 8-hour eating period, you have to be very cautious with what you're eating. Just because you have an 8-hour eating period doesn't mean that you can eat anything. Whereas I found with the OMED diet that it was a little bit more forgiving in that sense because it was only the one meal. You probably wouldn't go over it. So I didn't really have to be calorie counting or making sure that I wasn't eating a lot or things that had too much calories in it because I knew that it was going to be my only meal. And so I was basically making up for the whole day in one meal. Whereas with intermittent fasting, you are able to have more than one meal as long as it's within that eating period. And so therefore you do have to be a little bit more cautious of what you are eating to make sure that you're not going over your calories and make sure that you're not overeating. This is one of the reasons why I decided to switch to the 4-hour one so that I wouldn't have to be watching so much of what I was eating because I'm not really like a calorie counting kind of girl. So I thought that doing the 4 hours would give me a little bit of leniency, knowing that I would hopefully not go over the calories that I'm supposed to be eating for the day in a 4-hour period. However, again, I did not see the results that I was expecting as quickly as I was kind of expecting them. And that is kind of my bad. Because again, as I mentioned, I do not believe that we should be looking for instantaneous results. And that is probably why I wasn't seeing the results that I was looking for and that I did actually get with the OMAD diet. Another thing is, as I said, checking and making sure what you are eating. One thing with intermittent fasting is just because you're doing intermittent fasting doesn't mean that you can eat whatever you want. You still need to be eating healthy because you're still going to be eating food and you're eating it more than once a day, especially if you're doing the 8-hour one. So you still need to make sure that you're making healthy meal options. On a side note, I will say that whether you're doing the OMAD diet or you're doing intermittent or any other diet that you are doing, or diet or meal plan, whatever you want to call it, make sure that you are eating healthy, because again, the focus should not solely be on losing weight for a physical appearance, but also it should be on wanting to be healthy. And so we cannot continue to fill ourselves up with McDonald's or whatever it is that you like, Chick-fil-A, whatever it is that you like, every single day, because you're not going over your calories. You still might be going over in carbohydrates, in salt, in sugar, whatever it may be. So make sure that you're still making healthy meal options regardless of what meal plan that you are doing. I found that that could have been one of the reasons why I also didn't see the results that I was looking for, because I wasn't exactly cutting down on my portion size and I wasn't exactly eating any more healthier than I was. I just figured that because I was having a smaller eating window, that the results would come. And again, as I said, I only tried the intermittent fasting for probably a month, maybe a little bit less than a month. And I did lose some weight. Again, I would probably say the maximum would have been about 5 pounds in the time period that I did it. But again, that is not to say that it wouldn't work for somebody else. It's just something that wouldn't work for me. And as I mentioned before, this is why it's important for us to do meal plans and workout plans and diets and things like that that work for us and our lifestyle. I personally don't like to be restricted because of how spontaneous my family and I can be. Sometimes we could just be at home and decide to go out for lunch or decide to go for breakfast or dinner. And I want to be able to do that and not think that, oh, well, you know, my eating time frame is over. I can't go out for dinner, or I can't go out for breakfast because my eating bracket isn't here yet. My eating window isn't here yet. So I like to have the flexibility. And so because of that, I wasn't a 100% fan of intermittent fasting. Again, I am not saying that it is not good. I'm not saying that it won't work for you. However, I just want to share my experience with it and say that I was not a huge fan of it. Would I try it again? I definitely would at some point in time, just because in general, I believe that fasting is good for you. I believe it's good for you spiritually. And I also believe that it's good for your body to have a little bit of a break from eating and trying to process food all the time, to have a little bit of a break from that. And so I definitely would try intermittent fasting again. As I said, I'm not saying that it doesn't work. And I would love to see if it is something that works, if I were to do it on maybe in a better way, eating more healthier and cutting down portion size, as well as doing it for a little bit longer than the time period that I did. And so maybe that might be something that I would possibly do, and like give you guys an update just to know for myself whether it works for me, you know, just to find out. Like, again, it would not be something that I would do as a lifestyle change, as like, you know, a consistent meal plan. But sometimes, as I said, it's not a bad idea to kind of give your body kind of a reset and kind of change it up, kind of do something different. So basically those are my thoughts on intermittent fasting. That's how it happened and worked for me. I would love to know how it worked for you if you've tried it. If not, again, make sure that you see a physician, a nutritionist, or some professional, medical professional to get any kind of advice or requirements before changing any of your meal habits. Thank you for clicking on the video, and again, if you are new to this channel, please make sure that you subscribe and click the bell below so that you can get notifications on every time I post a new video. And to all my subscribers, welcome back, and thank you for being a part of this journey with me as we go and through to try to become the us that we were always intended to be before the weight of life tried to weigh us down. Thank you for coming to my channel, and have a great day.